Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of October 27th, 2019. On the cover, we've got Dr. Stone. Or rather, I do know this is a promo for Dr. Stone Reboot, Byakuya, which I know nothing about. I know it's a spin-off of Dr. Stone, I know it features Byakuya. When it came out that this was going to happen, I didn't think English Weekly Shonen Jump would pick it up. Because there's been a lot of spin-offs of various series that have run in Jump that English Jump hasn't really ever picked up, and I know a lot of those are I'm thinking of Watashi no Hero Academia or all the stuff they did for Black Clover, and I'm curious to see what makes this difference. Like, first of all, I don't know who's working on it even. This cover is very clearly by Boichi, but is he going to draw it as well? He could. He is a workhorse, and I think he started a new series recently. But I can imagine that he would pick up another one. If this if it's a monthly series, I could see him doing it. If it's another weekly series, then I imagine someone else would have to do it. There's no way he could do two weekly series in Jump. Plus, I don't know if Doctor Stone has the popularity necessary to maintain two series that are both running weekly in Jump. Not that it's not popular, but I know Doctor Stone isn't as popular as a lot of the other series in Jump, so a monthly series feels like it would fit if it's taking the Boruto slot, sort of. Anyways, that's enough speculation. Let's jump right into Actage, Chapter 87. Hmm. Okay, so we're cutting away from the scene where, he was beating her up inside, I assume. Which kind of sucks. I wanted to see how they would stage it. Though, because we didn't see it, then I imagine that when Team B does their production, or their version of the production, we'll see how that happened, and then we'll get a flashback to how it is that Ogami managed to pull it off. Okay, very soon the audience will get used to Ogami's presence. I thought that the big breaking point was going to be the fly scene. But if we're not going to show that on screen, then I guess it's gotta be when he comes in as the Ox King. That's gotta be the moment where we see can he play someone else apart from himself? Also, very understated scene for the cover image. Scene 87, expiration dates. I guess playing back on not just Riku, but also Chiyoko, for instance. The whole reason why Chiyoko is doing what she's doing is because she wants to extend her own expiration dates. The kind of actress she is the kind that will eventually just fade away once her looks, become normalized. Which I'm bringing that up, but as soon as I said normalized, it made me realize, oh yeah, there is a connection here. In the same way, not only is the audience going to get used to Ogami's presence here, but at the same time, it's very possible they would just get used to his presence throughout his career. There might be a point where people stop loving him, which I usually don't think of when I think of actors that are very much themselves, like Nicolas Cage, or who else was I just thinking about? But usually those kinds of actors still get work here and there. But now that I think about it, a lot of them don't get really great work. And even someone like Nick Cage, as much as people like him and they like to talk about his roles, one of the main reasons why he gets so much stuff is because he kind of just grabs everything he's given because he needs the money. So the easy answer would be expiration date reply is in reference to Chiyoko, who we were hinting at last chapter, but maybe this chapter will be about her. I would like to see if it's just hey, here's expiration dates as they refer to everyone in this production, because that is a really cool concept that we haven't really brought up that much. Yeah, she really is a monster. She's getting better and better and better, and she is dominating the stage. Especially now that she's getting time to cool off. Even if she's intentionally trying to make herself angry and to keep those flames of rage stoked, and even if she is still ringing from the revelation, at the same time I imagine just based on being a human being, you do cool down over time. Even some of the most rage prone people I've known have over time gotten calmer over a certain subject. It's just how the human brain works. So I'd like to see how it is that she's changing. Is she capable of keeping up this presence throughout, or is there a noticeable difference? For the audience, I don't think it would matter. The audience is captivated, they want to buy into it to some extent because they're there watching the play. But I'd be curious to see how it would work. Hmm. Oh gosh. And yeah, without him on the stage, she gets completely dominate. This is, as they said, the story of a deranged woman. Ah. And every time we get the shot of the kid. Like, she is probably my favorite, like, audience surrogate we've ever had. Which is crazy, because like, she doesn't have that much of a personality. It's just the scenes she's been in have been so evocative. Without Agami's presence, this play is over. Okay. So, I mean, I guess that's it. Like, can he change himself? Can he feel like the Ox King? Right, K overpowers you. Princess Irontail continues to terrify the audience. So, how do you play someone else while at the same time giving off that feeling of reassurance? Because, like, initially when he shows up, I imagine this kid's going to immediately be like, oh no, she's going to see right through it. So he has to really sell his acting. He has to sell the Monkey King's acting as the Ox King. And I do think, like, this is the correct decision because of how incredibly powerful K's, like, acting is right now. Like, he can't play it vulnerable. If he plays it vulnerable, the audience is going to go, oh no, we're in danger now because he can't hold up to this. But there's no way. There's no way he's going to do that. That said, like, yeah, I do think that works because the audience has gotten used to the Monkey King. So, in that same way, like, that might be helpful. It might be useful to have the audience be on his side, to go, like, oh yeah, we want him to succeed. So, come on, please let this work. But yeah, like, in the there's such a cool parallel here too between the actress that she is completely and utterly manipulated, like the person who has become that symbol of rage that she wanted, the exact thing that she wanted from the book, versus Ogami, who is completely destroying her intended version of the Monkey King. Like, he is 100% not being that character; he's just being himself, and I think it's going to work in the benefit of the play. Like, I think this is going to end with the play being 50% how she wanted, 50% how she didn't want it, and yet it's going to be way better than she imagined. Oh, that also means if he's not going to play it vulnerable, then she has to play it vulnerable while still having that rage. They're all focusing on her, but like she's a talented actress. She has to know this. But how is she going to then pass their attention onto him? I guess it's got to be by playing up how distraught she is. She's got to like feign weakness in order to make him feel more powerful, right? Right? I do really like that though. Like the idea that she was able to tip Yanagi into the breaking point, but she cannot like do that to him. Rikogami is too strong. He's too like beholden to his principles. And that's such a cool way of framing it too. Like just by showing his mouth in order to show that yeah, he is just a background character. He's just a part of the background even. He's not a character. The audience is not fixating him on this in the slightest. He's like a loser pickup artist striking out. That's actually such a good analogy. Okay, and we are doing the parallel. I see. Yeah, you were afraid of the audience getting tired of you, just like they've gotten tired of Agami. It is just like on a wider scale. It's over the course of a career instead of one production. This is such a good moment because, like, in so much Vactage, the pressure has been on Yanagi to come up with something new or something different or to just, not screw it up. And now we're finally in the state where she is the dominating force on the stage, and what she's doing is not wrong. Like I was just saying that maybe she could fold, maybe she could like hesitate a bit in order to give him more power, but that isn't what she should do. Like the role she's playing is amazing, and ideally she should just be able to keep it up and have everyone else accentuate it. So there really is no good way to do it. There's nothing she can do that won't compromise her current position. I guess, like, even now, he could fold. I don't want him to, though. Like, I appreciate his standing as an actor. I want him to stay true to his principles. And I do think there is something there, though. Like, if he were to fold now, it would feel even stronger because you could see, like, okay, he tried to do things the correct way. Like, or, he tried to do things the way he usually would. And in the same way, the Monkey King did what he would usually do, and then he broke, and then he capitulated. And that just makes his acting as the Ox King way more believable. So of course she would fold as well. But I want to see how he could pull it off while still being brash and arrogant. There's something there, but I can't imagine how to make it good on stage. Like, maintain your arrogance while at the same time making it seem like you're being warm and sensitive. Because that would just feel more pickup artisty, though. Like, I don't think the audience would like that at all. Fundamentally, this is a scene in which a trickster takes advantage of a distraught woman. Right now, that might work a bit better because she's so terrifying, because the audience accepts that, okay, tricking her is not a bad thing to do here because she is so concerning. But I don't know. I feel like that would leave a bad taste in your mouth. So I don't know what to do. I really don't. All right. Well, I mean, I just hope the production goes well. There's not a lot else I could really say. Oof. That is Actage, though, and what a good chapter. Like, again, not explosive, but it was riveting. It did get across the exact feeling it was trying to get across, which I think is really commendable. It's tricky to say what the audience is supposed to be feeling while at the same time making them feel it. That's usually bad writing. But in a series like Dactage, where it's all about performances, it's all about look at this fiction, but the story you're reading is also fiction, but you're not supposed to it's such a tightrope. It's such a tightrope without it getting too meta. And I don't think Actage really gets meta very much. There's a good differentiation between the actual manga itself and what they're saying in the manga as it applies to a different medium, like the stage or like movies. I really, really hope they manage to keep up this tightrope act though, because it's amazing. It really is spectacular. Anyways, that's Actage, and next is Black Clover, chapter 226. I haven't really thought any more about this, but maybe if my theory is correct, if the reason why he can float without using his own mana is because the entire country is within the queen's mana zone, then maybe those letters maybe the runes are there to tell the queen's magic, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, rather than focusing his own magic, it's more like he's taking the spell out of his grimoire and showing it to the mana zone so it can augment his magic, or something like that. That said, also, bad matchup with Noelle. I don't know if she can get electrocuted or if this is gonna kill her, but I don't remember her ever fighting Luck, so I'm not totally sure how that works in terms of magic versus magic. Oof, bad misspelling. Really not great. Who's the letterer? Annalise, what are you doing? Annalise. Okay, so it's a seeking spell. That said, again, if my theory is correct, if this is because the entire kingdom is within the queen's mana zone, then it makes sense that what he's telling it, it's not that he's casting a spell that tracks her, but rather he's telling the world itself. He's telling this zone full of energy, lock onto this person and then bend my spell until it hits her. Oh, okay, no, no, no. So it was just a different shot. Humans cannot match the vast mana of nature. In that case, what if it's not I still think it's the same principle of mana zone, but what if instead of it being just the queen's mana, it's she's contracted with the nature itself, not even just with the spirit. Obviously she's contracted with the spirits, but what if she's unlocking the mana of nature itself and then using that to fill her mana zone? Instead of it being a water balloon filled with just her own water, it's more like a water balloon she's just filling up with, with rainwater or something. In that she doesn't have to fill it all by herself, but she can still use all of it, provided that she has enough direction and enough power to do so. Oh my god, so many of them. I don't remember if I said it last week, but these guys do look a lot like Noelle's Valkyrie armor, and then by comparison, her mother's Valkyrie armor. So I'm wondering if there's also some sort of armory thing going on. That doesn't really tie into the whole nature thing though. Armor is inherently the opposite of nature. Though I guess it depends on whether it is the demon's curse. That could be it. It could be that the reason why the queen's so nature focused is specifically because it combats the evil of the demon. But then that wouldn't tie into the potential mystery we have here of there is this demon in the Clover Kingdom or in the Heart Kingdom, and it's most likely the reason why she can do all of this. Ooh, okay, so this is Undyne. So this is the spirit itself. Interesting. It's interesting that Salamander so far seems to be the only one that isn't humanoid. I assume then that whenever we see the Earth one, it's going to be really big and not humanoid. So then we have, small humanoid, big humanoid, small non-humanoid, and then big non-humanoid. Your country doesn't use magic stages, does it? Ah, you don't even understand power levels. Okay. The highest is stage 0, so we're not even hiding it the way most series would do of, you thought number 1 was the highest, but you forgot about number 0. We're bringing that up right at the very start. And this is true lightning magic. I wonder if it's true because it's nature empowered, like because he's calling on the mana of nature as opposed to firing it all himself. Using like real world science, you could say that what he's doing isn't necessarily like like pulling together a bunch of raw energy and firing it, but rather like just uh, like we can do that with actual lightning. Like this isn't necessarily a powerful beam of energy as much as it is a single lightning bolt, which is inherently very powerful. So all he would have to do is just charge the bottom, charge the top, and then just let nature do what it does. It'd be really cool if that is like part of how nature magic works. Like instead of creating water out of nothing, instead it's like like true water magic would be like just speeding up the water cycle and then creating a bunch of clouds and having all the water come from there as opposed to creating it manually. Haha, you thought they ran away, but no. Ability alone isn't a true measure of our power. That is actually really cool. Like, yeah, holy wow. Our pervy little boy's grown so much. If she's not the queen, I just realized like we didn't see the queen here, so it might she might have been the shadowy figure we saw before. Like, would she know about demon magic then? I mean, like obviously she knew about the demon inside of Asta, but or is she referring just to the sealing magic actually? Because that like the sealing magic is itself pretty rare and unique. And this is so cool too. Like in the same way that the Heart Kingdom magic is so out there and so different, and it took us as readers aback as much as it took the the Black Bulls aback. In the same way, now they're being taken aback by how interesting and different and wild the Black Bulls are. One thing I really hate in a lot of series is like when every villain knows everything about the main characters. I get why you would do that, just for the sake of making things very simple and easy, but it kind of sucks when the main characters have a wide array of abilities and every villain that comes across them immediately knows everything they can do and is already planned around it. Oh, okay, yeah, so that was the shadow we were talking about before. So I assume we're going to see her. And I'd assume that either like it could be a fake out. I don't think so. I think it's going to be the queen, but something horrible is going on with her body. Like, she's mutated or she is a suit of armor or something. Because that makes the most sense, and that would explain why the arc started off so explosively. Because like this isn't the status quo of the arc. The arc is going to be all right. You know the truth now, and instead of killing you, like maybe we can work with you. We're sorry for immediately trying to attack, but we had no choice. That whole rigmarole. Overall, really good chapter. I feel like I ranked the previous chapter a little too low, but at the same time, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. Whereas I'm feeling this a lot more. It's not like as good as the previous like it's not as good as the Actolage chapter, but it was really good. And I'm curious to see how they'll like expand the Heart Kingdom. Like one of the things I hated the most about Black Clover early on was how undeveloped the world felt. In the sense that like I could see that Yuki Tabata clearly knows what's going on, but I don't. He never told me, he never told the audience. So I'm hoping that the Heart Kingdom doesn't fall into that. I do hope that everything that's being said right now does get explained over time. And hopefully, sooner rather than later. I don't need everything explained immediately, obviously. I mean, that's not how stories work, but I'd prefer to get that information. So we'll see how it goes. Overall, yeah, that ranking's good. Let's move right on. By the way, man, this week is kind of slim, which I'm not complaining about, but like I wish I could have done like a live stream or something for this one. Just because it's so short, like it would have been very easy to do, but it is what it is. Also, I should say right now, actually, if I ever skip a chapter or something, just tell me in the comments below, and I will do it next week. I think that's the fairest way to do it. If the next week is going to be way too packed, I might just do that chapter on its own. I've done that before, where like I've just put up one chapter and then linked it in the like in the timestamps. So yeah, it's all good. Anyways, next is We Never Learn, chapter 133. Predecessor enjoys the passing X. What could this be? The predecessor, I assume, is either Sensei or someone who went to school at Sensei who shows up and is like, "Hey, it's been so long since I've been here," and they reminisce over their time together. Oh my, nice Sensei. Okay, who is this mysterious figure? Hmm. Okay, not what I was expecting. Okay, I mean, we've done this a couple times where we like we look at Sensei's past and what she regrets, then Naruki finds a way to either like reframe it in a better way or help her like regain what was lost. Curious to see how this is going to work. I guess this means that the predecessor here is in fact her. Maybe it will be a predecessor enjoys the passing time. Usually I don't really fixate on the chapter titles, but this feels like one that I could crack like before it becomes obvious. Ah, it's the classic. They've got to be locked in here, right? I mean, they might not be. It might just be that, it's raining real hard and they, you can't run from here to the school. You're going to catch a cold and you're going to die. Incidentally, I can't really think of a trope like that in like Western fiction, which is wild. Like in Canada, like you would assume that the equivalent would be like, being somewhere in the middle of a snowstorm. But that really doesn't happen. Like, or rather it does happen, of course. Like people do end up like, stuck at school because of a snowstorm. They can't drive away or whatever. It's too rough. The roads are bad. Their car crashes. It does happen, but usually something like this doesn't happen, where people are isolated for a short moment, but then they can freely move about afterwards. Like the classic two teenagers have to run over to a bus stop and then they either have to wait for the bus or they have to wait for just the rain to stop before they can walk home. That really does not exist in Canadian fiction, I should say. Like maybe it exists in other stuff in the countries that you guys are from, but I can't think of an example quite like that, which is really weird. It is very convenient though. Like I do appreciate the existence of this trope in Japanese fiction as a way to isolate people and to have them like just be able to talk openly without any social pressures around them, like or without any way for them to just walk away. Also, it's nice that Yuiga can also pull that card now. Like, I think you can really break up harem series into series where the main character is constantly like in this role and not this one, and that gets extremely tiring very quickly. And series that are willing to play around with it. And a series like We Never Learned that is willing to play around with it is way better in my eyes than one that uses the same joke over and over again. Like, if you watched my Act Dodge reaction just now, it's that same idea of like the audience just getting used to it. I think there's a point in fiction where like you can just go for the same joke over and over again and have that be the appeal of the series, that it's always the same and that's comforting. But I think that's a very hard niche to do, especially nowadays. Like especially now that so many series have done that and now we are capable of going back into the past and just watching stuff that did that if you want that experience. It's hard to do that, but make it new and make it different. I can faintly hear the sound of wet fabric. Yuiga, this has happened like 20 times this year or something. Probably not 20, but it's happened many, many times within a single year. Come on, man. That said, like, I'm not insane. I clearly understand how this could be appealing. Oh no. Hmm. So this is actually a combo I've rarely ever seen. Like the combination of it's raining outside, we have to be in this isolated area, combined with people are in this room and we can't let them know that we're in this room because it would be embarrassing, which is surprising. Like it flows together so well. Why did we hide? We could have just explained the situation. I think it would have been okay if just Yuiga had said that. Like it would have left Kirisu in a bad situation because she would have just been in there and she would have been abandoned and that would suck. So I do think this was the best scenario, but there is an alternate version, I imagine, where Yuiga could have just said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm wet. Like I'm taking off my shirt because it was raining outside. It's fine." But that is not the We Never Learn way. Also, who are these girls? Like, are they new characters or are these like one of the other girls' friends? Because this girl with like the Moogie eyebrows looks familiar, but I can't place a finger on the rest. So referential. No, Sensei, don't you dare! Oh my god, that's so good. I do think, like, if Taishi Susui is going to go for the Sensei end, it'd be cooler if they're a little more comfortable with one another, but at the same time, like, I do think this is funny, and this is a great scenario. God, and that was so fast, too. Like, again, it's not even like they had to get out after school or anything. That just happened in the middle of a period. It happened, like, in the break from gym to another class. I mean, again, this might just be heightened for manga. Like, I'm not saying that this is the true Japanese experience, but I mean, like, within the context of it being a manga trope, I find it so interesting that it can keep on, like, people can use that over and over again. More so than, things like being snowed in or having an earthquake happen. Like Japan has earthquakes. I'm surprised that doesn't show up more. As a like an earthquake happens, therefore we want to stay in this area for a little time before we know it's safe. Oh, but that's it. Oh, I completely forgot about the title of the chapter. That's the whole reason why we had this. I thought it was just like some weird, funny meta commentary, but no. Like that is Sensei regaining her high school hijinks through high school hijinks with someone else. Aw, I like Midwinter. God, that's actually such a good line too. Like it doesn't work very well in English because you need the explanation, but oh my god, like I can just imagine how it works in Japanese, and it's so smooth. God, Narayuki. I know the cold can be rough, but I also feel like that it brings us together. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's actually such a cool cut. Like in that moment, she just changed from from her old self to her high school self. And it's really cool that we've seen her high school self so many times that that's not like a deep cut or anything. We've seen it multiple times. We've seen Yuika talking to high school Kirisu sensei. Oh, did she not even say it? Like, was that just her inner self wanting to say it? Because that is also very forward. But okay, so it was just her being quiet for moments. Ah. And of course, that flashback to Naruyuki's dad. Oh, that's such a good chapter. I love it. I'm gonna put it. It was definitely like it's always rough because Black Clover and We Never Learn. I always read them back to back, and they're very different series. Like they are phenomenally different. So it's always hard for me to say like, was that better than Black Clover? It's two completely different metrics. I do think it was honestly. I had more fun with it than Actage. Actage was good. I still talked about it quite a bit, but there was something so wholesome about it. I don't think that Act Dodge has what We Never Learn has yet, where We Never Learn, a lot of the recent chapters have been flexing the weight of the series. Like the characters will do something, but that thing has impact not just because you like the character, but because you've seen the character go through all these different phases. You've seen like Urka get better at English over the course of the series. So when she says, when she speaks in perfectly good English to those foreigners, it's such a big deal. Like it's something that, even though Actage has been around for quite a while, I don't think of it as having that weight. I think because all the arcs have been so long, and maybe it's just that I have to reread the series, which I've been dragging my feet on because I just haven't had time. I do think this arc, like if any arc of Actage is going to have that weight, it should be this one, since we have so many returning characters. Anyways, that's the We Never Learn / talking more about Actage segment. Let's move on to Mitama Security Spirit Busters, Chapter 10. By the way, if anyone didn't read chapters 8 and 9 last week, please do so, because Chapter 9 ended on a serious note, for once. Chapter 8, though, I thought was way better than Chapter 9. So they're both very, it's not like you should be skipping any chapter of a series, especially this early on. But I do think those two chapters were a really good pairing with one another. Like, I get why they both came out at the same time. You had the perfect mix of, here's a really funny, great chapter, and then here's a more plot-y chapter, / here's a chapter that's doing more slice of lifey things that the series usually doesn't do. So I wonder if that's going to be the end of a volume. Like, I wonder if the first volume is going to only be or it's going to be 9 chapters. Because the first chapter I think was extra long, right? So that would fit in, and then this would be like the recap for the second volume. And now one more eccentric has found his way to me. So who is this? The name's Janka Takenoichi, or Takenouchi, Koten Janka, and we don't have translator notes here, so I assume the pun's gonna come up later on in the chapter then. Once in a blue moon, among those with spirit sense, someone comes along who deliberately allows spirits to haunt their body in order to control them. Like, not interesting because of this character. He is he's cool enough, sure. But it's interesting that this guy showed up again, after the first chapter where he just said, yeah. So it was the same one who was talking before. The guy who gave an explanation, then went back to the end of the line. But I'm wondering then, does she have that ability then? It would explain why there's this big line of spirits around her. She's never given them an order or anything. Which I feel like that's probably true, actually, right? Or no, she's definitely she talked to the spirit that really liked Mitama. I keep on forgetting his name, even though it's part of the series name. Yeah, it might. Apart from that girl, and even then, I don't think she gave her an order or anything. She just gave her general advice, but she never said to do this. It could be that they're lining up just because they understand, she has the power, she's important, and they're waiting for orders, but she's never given them because why would she? Ah, the way we see it, you're a treasure trove. Ooh, so we could have a different system now of people trying to steal her spirits. And so now Mitama and his friend have to protect her and protect her spirits, by extension. Also, like if this were being like said out loud, I do think that Jano would work a lot better than Jano. Although it is John and then no. Like there is a break there. So maybe don't quite know what the pun is, but I'm sure there's something there. Mr. Commentary! He's still flying! Or no, it's not even that he's still flying. He like lifted his arms and that like you can see a little connective tissue there. Like he's become a sugar glider. What is happening? Oh, Zobiro! So this is the power of a high-class spirit. Man, Zobiro is really cool. Oh, but okay, so now we're gonna see how he forcibly controls spirits, and he's gonna control Zobiro, which sucks because we've finally grown attached to him because he's a cool dude. Hmm? Isn't this just Pokemon? He does remind me a lot of the guy from Mob Psycho 100 who also used to steal spirits. I wonder if they're both playing off of a certain archetype. Their character designs especially are so similar. It's gotta be that they're both references to something else, but I don't know to what it could be. I mean, Mob Psycho is big enough that he could just be a reference to Mob Psycho. Like, I didn't even consider that until right now. Thank you, Mr. Exposition. What is happening? Also, is he just that dumb, or can he actually not understand him? Because, like, clearly, this spirit is working as hard as possible to make himself understandable. But, like, does he just hear garble when he looks at a spirit that's talking, or is it just that he's being so dumb and scared? Okay, yeah, he is just being so dumb because he's so scared. Hot damn! Zobiro! That is not what I was expecting. Though, I think we do still have time. Like, I think it is going to be he forcibly takes over Zobiro, and then we get the showdown. But I'd be okay if Zobiro is just the dude that protects her now. I mean, yeah, he's from the tunnel, but clearly he's been hanging out. I guess that actually is a good question, though. Like, we haven't been noticing him in the line, or rather, the characters have not been noticing that he was part of the line. So maybe Zobiro like becomes one of the basic spirits, like when he's not actively trying to do something. Okay, final boss time. God, this is such good teamwork. Also, I appreciate the kick using all of his leg feats. So yeah, Rena really does not need help, or rather, she doesn't need human help. The spirits are definitely working well enough. Also, I do appreciate this rush of every named spirit we've seen thus far. It was very satisfying. So good. And yeah, I do think this is, the implication that it is goofy, but at the same time, she is most likely one of those people that come up once in a blue moon. Like she can clearly control them, or even if she's just like giving them like suggestions that they're then following. At the very least, she has that charisma. Like spirits want to follow her. Also, this facial expression, I can't tell if she's being serious or not. Like based on the way the series is usually, the series usually handles her, I'd assume she's being honest. Like just the idea of Mitama's presence making her feel good now feels so weird. Like now it feels like she's just trying to make him feel better because he really didn't do anything. Okay, that was really good, by the way. Like I was pretty worried, not gonna lie. I was concerned that the series was going to go down a more serious path, and it could. But if it is going to go down a more serious path, I'd want that to be like chapter 30 or chapter 50, because like it's the classic shonen thing, right? Of you do a bunch of comedic arcs, then you go into the serious ones and you just keep on getting more and more serious. Like a lot of classic shonen series do that. I'd like it if, Mitama stays mostly like 90% comedic, and we could still do like we could have this guy come back, or we could have other people show up and be serious, but I just don't want that to be the main focus of the series. If this chapter is the way we do all of the, not 100% gag focused chapters, it'd be great. And I would say like this was a completely gag focused chapter. I know I'm saying that as if this was a serious chapter, but it wasn't, and that's fine. I just mean, like, if the series does want to go in a less gag-focused direction, I'd like it if they kept it like this. If it is 90% still gags. Anyways, that was Mitama Security. It was fantastic. I don't think I'd put it above Act Dodge, but I do think it was better than Black Clover this week. Like, it was a really, really good chapter. I do kind of want to put it above Act Dodge. Uh, you know what? Why not? Why not? If I feel bad about it by the end of the reaction, or like later on, I'll just flip them around. But I don't think I will. I feel like it was like in terms of sheer enjoyment, I did enjoy this more, and it had, weirdly enough, more of that weight I was talking about in We Never Learn, like the weight of the series. Like even if it was a very simple thing of here are these characters, they've been introduced relatively quickly, but here's all of them together. It still felt more impactful than some of the like grouping together moments in Act Dodge. That's not the point of Act Dodge, but still, like it's a neat lens to look at this through. Anyways, that's Mitama Security. Next is Chainsaw Man Chapter 44. Oh, I should probably get my phone ready in case we get more more Russian. If anyone skipped last week, by the way, I did like just go through the chapter with Google Translate in order to figure out what oh, Reze, that was it. That was it. Chapter 44, Boom Boom Boom. That is that's quite a chapter title. What could this be though? Like how are we going to get Oh, it could be Heartbeats actually. I just realized, like, my first thought was it's going to be a fight scene, but it could just be the hammering of his heart and him realizing, like, oh no, I can't do this. Like, as much as I like this person, I do like Makima more. Oh, and that's so cool. Like, Denji doesn't care about this kind of thing. Like, the Denji of the early part of the series would have 100% said, yeah, sure. But I think this is also, like, it is Miss Makima shining through him. Like, even if he doesn't care that much about it inherently, like, because these are all things that draw him closer to her, he doesn't want to give up on them. Honestly, this is hitting really close to home for me. Like, in terms of framing the whole series as very banal work. Because I've been in a lot of banal work as of late, and I do enjoy it. Like, as much as I complain about it when I get home, and as much as it does eat up a lot of my time, I do still genuinely enjoy things like this. Like getting used to other people's personalities and, winning people over, finding my career goals. Like, and that is something that is very hard to drop for someone else. That's that feeling of personal development. And in the same way, like if you don't have that, if you were like Denji at the start of the series, I understand why it would be a lot easier to not, pursue that. So what is Rezi going to do here? Like, she could just stay around and try to flip him over the course of the series, but I doubt that. That's not the Chainsaw Man way. I feel like she's gonna just try and kidnap him now. Whoa. Hmm. Very fast move. Like, I mean, again, Denji has those hormones pumping through his body. He's not a smart guy. I think this could be enough to flip him over. To just go like, oh, I do like this person. Like, I do like Makima, but I'm not getting anywhere with her. Whereas like this girl is way more open. Should I not just go with her? It's also interesting how like weaponized this feeling is now. Like the traditional rom-commy We Never Learn esque. Honestly, I don't even want to call it that. I've been calling it that almost as a joke. But what I'm thinking about is less We Never Learn and more rom-commy. Like We Never Learn is definitely more of a Three's Company sort of series, in that the series is mostly comedy with a little bit of like legitimate romance, just enough to keep the comedy flowing. Whereas like this is definitely more of a traditional rom-com where it's like, kind of funny, kind of lovey, mostly lovey at this point in time. It reminds me a lot of a certain arc from boy oh boy, what is Kaguya-sama. Oh boy. Where's the blood coming from? Okay. Okay. So I wasn't totally sure, but I think we are. I think we're just doing it. I think she is just straight up going for it. Like, if you're not going to come with me, then I'm stealing you. Oh, she's so like lethal too. Like, someone's got to save him, right? But they're in the middle of a high school in the middle of the night. Like, there's no way, right? I can't imagine like Aki would show up and save him. We know Power is currently getting the blood drained out of her, so I doubt it. And he doesn't really have a lot of other people that would want to check up on him. Like, especially in this sort of situation, where it's just, oh, I guess he's dating someone, like, whatever. So, it might be, Pochita. Like, we very recently, last chapter, Denji brought up Pochita by name. So it could be like, the last resort of, he's still there, he can still do something. There's also the possibility, the very small possibility of, like, him just freaking out and then killing her. Oh my gosh, I was not thinking about him. Beam! Beam! That's so good too, because from her perspective, that must be so out of nowhere. I feel like such a dummy for not thinking about him, but the series has done a good job of showing that, yeah, he's here. This isn't an ass pull or anything. It makes total sense that he would be here, he would be watching their dates, and he would, jump in to save him if anything happened like this. But at the same time, like, he was just far removed from the situation for me to not think about him. I do think that someone else who was focusing more on him might have come up with the conclusion of, oh, what if he's a yandere and he'll just, kill Reze? That smell, she's bomb. Also, he's yelling beam, like he's yelling his own name. Is that a thing? Like, I don't remember if Power ever yelled the word power in reference to just raw energy as opposed to herself. Plus, like, does that mean that she's the bomb devil? Or does he literally just mean she's bomb? Jeez. Okay. Also, did she always have that on her choker? Maybe oh yeah, okay, so she did at least there. That is such a cool parallel to his own pull. What in the world? Also, this is super interesting. Like, the fact that, again, Whirlpool thought of her as Reze. Like, he called her Lady Reze, implying that whether she's a devil or a fiend, I assume fiend, because, she was possessing a human body. So at this point, she would be a fiend. Like, even as a devil, did she go by Reze? Or, because clearly, like, Beam has, like, Beam knows her as just Bomb. So are they even, like, part of separate societies, perhaps? Also, this is just a cool design. I'm curious to see how, like, it looks like it is just tearing apart her original outfits. But, like, this is going on top of it. Like, it's not even, like, poking out. It's more like it materialized over her school uniform. God! Oh my gosh, that framing is so good! I don't even understand how she moved there. It doesn't look like she used, like, explosive force to propel herself, because you can see a bunch of, like, shrapnel and stuff still there. And I don't think her outfit got destroyed at all. So it's almost as if she no, you can see a shadow there. So I guess the idea is that she did, like, propel herself forward, but no, like, you usually would just see, like, movement lines and a shockwave. Like, I'm curious to know, like, did she just, like, did her entire body explode and then she flew outwards, or was it something else? Not like it truly matters, but God. Also, this framing, like, using the sound effects to denote, like, her space in three-dimensional space in reference to where Beam and Denji are. Oh, it's so good. I mean, now I just want to know more about Beam. Like, I mean, clearly I want to know more about Reze. I'm very curious about her. I want to know more about her society and what's going on. How did Whirlpool know about her? But now, like, last chapter, I was under the impression that, oh, Typhoon didn't just defer to her because they knew each other. I thought it was more of like, she's a member of high demon society or something. But that doesn't seem to be the case, because Beam either Beam didn't know about her, he definitely didn't know about her name, but he also prioritized Denji way over her, like, to the point where he was willing to, steal Denji away. So at the very least, like, if there is a devil society, there's got to be a schism there. Or it could be that just, some devils just pop in and others are a part of devil society. Like, I can imagine, Tomato Devil, for instance, not being a part of devil society. But then you'd imagine that the Shark Devil would be. Maybe it's because he's a fiend. But then she's also a fiend and she seems to have full control, so, It doesn't feel like this is unthought of, but rather that we just don't understand everything going on, which is an exciting feeling. Like, I'm excited to learn more. Plus, like, if she is, I guess there is the possibility. God, what a good chapter. It's so interesting again that, like, she didn't use explosive ability at all until she transformed. So it's not like she has anything inherently there. It's not like she's like Power, who can still manipulate blood. Like, she was going all in with just martial arts and with the knife. And she was speaking Russian too. Like, let's not forget that. it feels a lot less like she would be a Russian agent then. It might be more that just, as a devil, she was brought up in Russia, or she's native to Russia, perhaps. It really depends on what does she symbolize. If she symbolizes all bombs, then it's very possible that she manifested either in America or in Russia just due to the anxiety around the Cold War. God, there's so much I don't know about Chainsaw Man, and that makes me so happy. Like, all I want to do is just learn more, and even that when we just learn more things that we didn't know about before, it still excites me so much. What a good series! Every chapter is, if not riveting, at the very least, it builds on itself and just becomes something great. Which you would think would be, the same. You think that'd be on par for just all serialized media, but that's not the case. There's a lot of series that I feel don't really improve themselves every single chapter, whereas I feel Chainsaw Man legitimately does that. Even the chapters I haven't really liked that much have been chapters where there have been forward momentum, where it's made, it's worked up to something way better in the long run. Anyway, that's enough of me talking about normal stuff no one cares about. Does that just beat everything? I feel like it just beats everything. Chainsaw Man is, in a weird way, like, it's got the same energy that Black Clover has, in that, like, Black Clover, in my usual reading order, is just this explosion of energy, sandwiched between a very slow burn series and a very, like, gag of the week series, and then another gag of the week series right now. In the same way, Chainsaw Man is really, like, in the Livestream series, it's the only one that's, like, it's not that it doesn't build anything, I just had a whole conversation about how it does. But it also has that explosive power where every single chapter is great, and I want to read every single chapter as it comes out. Whereas something like One Piece or even Dr. Stone, as much as I love Dr. Stone, as much as I think Dr. Stone is the best thing running in Jump, I still don't get as hyped for it week to week as I do with Chainsaw Man. Man, what a good series. Anyways, that's Chainsaw Man. Let's move on to One Piece, chapter 960, introducing Kozuki Oden. Yeah, that's fantastic gag. And we've got the Lucy statue in the backgrounds. Ah, so this is OG Wano. Or not OG Wano, but like older Wano at the very least. It's such a hard contrast from current Wano. This is a story of Wano from the time when life was still abundant. Ah, young Suru. What could this be? Maybe it's the Kamainu. No, a white boar. I don't remember it coming up in the present time, though. Oh my god, that's Kinemon? That is wild. Like, the mouth is pure Kinemon, but the rest of him feels so different. It's so weird seeing him not being the most formal man on the planet. Oh, it's so weird to think of Kinemon as being the Kaiji of Wano. Like, old Kaiji. Kaiji who wasn't winning a lot. Wait, this isn't Kinemon, right? There's no way, right? God, it is. That's even weirder. That's so profoundly weird. I mean, he's so wide. It's so strange to look at Kinemon and imagine him being wide. Like, my immediate thought was just, oh, Kinemon has to be the guy on the ground, even though that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because, like, I couldn't comprehend the idea of this being Kinemon. Before the age of 1, he threw his wet nurse to the ground. At age 2, he was quick enough to catch 2 hares at once. At age 4, he obliterated a bear by hurling a boulder at it. Odin is quite a man. I'm surprised he wasn't banished from the kingdom, jeez. Oh, this reminds me so much of Frankie, like, early, like, just make a bunch of Frankie machines Frankie. He's such an idealist, he's such a wild boy. It's like something a spirit or goblin would do. Okay, we are, that feels so weird to say. Like, to have him be the kind of guy who would kidnap women and make his own personal harem. However, it was consensual. It was all cool. This is widely known now as the Harem War. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so he was disowned. Again, I don't remember if he was or not. It's One Piece. Oh my gosh, old Hyogoro, or young Hyogoro. What happened to like 90% of his body? So much of him disappeared when he got old. Oh my god. It took me a moment, just because of how smoothly he talked. Like, it took me a moment to realize, like, oh yeah, that's just nonsense. Jeez. Wake up, General Store. Rise up, General Store. How come I only have 30 silver now? He's boiling a pot of Odin over my father's remains. Also, incredible, like, reveal of Odin himself, literally eating Odin. I mean, we have a lot of characters with, like, weird food puns in their names in One Piece, but we rarely see them, like, do the thing. Or if they do, I'm just realizing this now. If they have been, I haven't noticed it. Like, we do get, like, a big feast every single arc, or at the end of each arc. Do we have moments of characters named after food eating the food that they're made out of, or that they're named after? I mean, from Whole Cake Island, we didn't really get a feast, but even during the wedding, like during the wedding, did we have the various Charlottes eating their own, like, the food that they're named after? What a wild human being. Okay, if he knew him, that actually changes a lot. Like, I assumed just based on context that it was just a random dude. And to be fair, maybe the grieving family didn't know about him, or like they knew of him, but they didn't realize that he knew their deceased father or whatever. Oh no, stop the wives and daughters. So much charisma. Oh, it's not the fire that's big. Is it the mountain then? Like, is the mountain on fire? Oh. Oh, that's actually such a cool, like, idea. Whenever the piglet is found, the adult boar is sure to come charging. So it is legitimately super dangerous. Like, to the point of it being, like being passed into mythology as being a, like, powerful spirit or whatever. That's such a cool framing too, like to have the next chapter thing be right in the middle. It's not the first time I've ever seen that, but it's been a while since One Piece has done that. So what is Odin's plan? Like, I imagine this is just going to be one of his legendary things where he saves the village, and then this is why, some of the 9 scabbards decided to follow him. I sure hope it doesn't end with him killing the boar, though, like the mountain god, because that would just feel weird. Like, it would fit with the series, but I don't know. Usually in One Piece, like, when people fight giant animals, they usually don't kill them a lot. Like, I guess Luffy does. But Luffy feels different. It's usually more cartoony because he's then eating them. I guess they might play it off like that, actually, of they kill the mountain god and then feed everyone, and then it shows that, that Odin is the exact opposite of someone like Kaido. That he, commits murder and then feeds the entire country with it. Or, like, even if people yell at him for defeating the mountain god, at the same time, he technically made everything safer. But, it doesn't fit within the strict tradition of Wano. That's kind of where I'm thinking this is gonna go. Overall, really good chapter. Like, I was not expecting a lot from this flashback, but it was strong. It reminds me a lot of the like, the various Skypiea flashbacks, like the one with Nutboy. It's got that same energy of almost nostalgia. Like, nostalgia for a time that we haven't really seen in the series, but we've seen characters wax nostalgically about it. And then by virtue, we're able to look at this with nostalgia. I think I'll put it right below Mitama Security. That makes sense. Because, like, it was very good, but it wasn't, like, obscenely standout. I do think that Actage was very similar. It was a really good chapter this week, but it wasn't, like, obscenely good. So, yeah, that makes sense. Next is Dr. Stone, chapter 127. It all comes down to this one moment. So, interesting colors, by the way. Like, the green hair makes sense. It gives off that Medusa feel. Uh, the pouches are flesh colored, which I'm not, like, I did feel like that was definitely a possibility, but it feels very strange. It does actually, like, legitimately, combined with the big, like, war horns that I brought up last chapter, it does give off that energy of her being this, like, mythical non-human figure. Like, it's not necessarily Medusa-esque, but it is monstrous in a way. Like, without her looking unappealing. Like, she still looks attractive, I assume, but she also looks, like, strange and different and mythical. Also, interesting to, like, look at that and see that it is in fact green. Like, I mean, it could just be that these are colors for this specific page, but usually Dr. Stone's been vaguely consistent with the colors. Like, the only one I can think of that really changes a lot is Senku's hair, or, like, the stuff that I usually think of as being moss or whatever. That usually changes from, like, green to blue to, I think I saw it as purple once, like, officially in official colors. But a lot of the colors are more or less consistent. And I do think this would look really good in the anime, like just the straight up green. God, the drone looks so good too. Ah, Z equals 127, Medusa and Perseus. And they're I love it. It's so sci-fi. I do think at some point in the series, like I don't think all the future technology we're going to see is going to come to be, and I'm honestly very skeptical about the idea of there being a mecha eventually. But I do think we could see something like this go, sometime in the future. Like, it's so good. I love these designs. And I do firmly believe like the series has been all about like, someday Senku will get to space. I do firmly believe that without it being like, a big time skip and then at the, in the last chapter he goes to space, I do think we're going to get an arc that's all about them like reinventing like space technology and them going up there as a plot point, whether it is to unstone everyone or if it's something else, like, the real Y man is actually in space or something. And if they do that, I think it would be really cool to have the Perseus, like, to have the space shuttle also be called the Perseus. Like, I know that's just a metaphor here, but they could do it, or they could have it be like the Perseus 2 or whatever. Man, they look so good. I think it's also really cool that some of them have, like, normal suits, and then some of them have, like, a kind of mobile suits. Like, like old school ones, where, like, they're bulky. It's interesting that we have, like, the two leaders with the mobile suits, but then we also have Gen with one. I guess just because he might die if he's in a normal suit. Like they've got to just give him the extra power so he can like fly around. But I don't know. Everyone else has thrusters anyways. Oh, I just noticed that Kohaku's has like a hole for her hair, which does not seem good when you're in the vacuum of space. But it's probably like airlocked out. It's probably fine. God, this is such a good cover. Like Doctor Stone's always had really good two-page color spreads, but this one is beautiful. I can't stop looking at it. It is Medusa versus Perseus. So okay, and Ryusui is immediately like, even if he can't tell what exactly is happening, like he's got good instincts. So what's happening? That said, if he's realizing it in the moment, if he's realizing that okay, that's probably a fake, he could keep the drone in the air and then grab the real one. Oh my god, that is oh like that is a powerful jump scare. Jesus. Also, such a weird cut to a flashback. Also, like, because he's here, I assume it is metaphorical, right? I mean, it's the kind of series where this could be literal, but I assume just because of the placements of everyone, it's got to be a metaphor. It's got to just be like, this is what Senku is feeling. It took me a moment. Yeah, so it is a fake. It's a fake meant just for Moz. In which case, he's going to do what the previous cover page was doing, where like he was reaching towards her pouch. He's going to make his move right now and show himself to be a traitor. Also, I do really like that. That, like, even in his own head, not talking to anyone else, he's still showing off. I've done that before. I've 100%, like, made something more complicated in my head and then realized in the moment, like, oh, I could simplify this and it wouldn't change anything. All I'm doing with this is just making myself feel smarter, so I shouldn't do that. But yeah, that's why, like, she's not throwing it 100% because all she has to do is make it look good. Oh, okay, so she did have the real one as well. Moz, you wouldn't really betray the master, right? Ibarra knew. But that said, they're all going back to the lab, and the lab can get away, hopefully quickly enough. Senku's order went against all expectations. It would have seemed nonsensical. However, yeah, that's actually really cool. Like, if anyone had hesitated, it could have been like it could have not worked out. But it was because they were all willing to skedaddle immediately that saved them. That saved their bacon. Oh boy, it's yo time. I mean, I do appreciate Senku as a leader for having so many people willing to stab him in the back, and yet he's capable of manipulating all of them just enough to keep himself from being stabbed. This is the real Game of Thrones. Oh, oh my gosh, Magma stole it. But for what purpose? Oh boy. That said, Magma, you don't know how to use it. This is interesting though. Like, it means that we have the brains, we have the brawn, and it's a completely different group that are, that could do a little mini adventure. This is actually what I was thinking about last chapter. Instead of these two, I thought it was going to be like just the power team that escaped. This is such a neat combo because it's also, like someone from the village and someone from, the present time. But it's two people who haven't really interacted that much. Like apart from Gen tricking Magma at one time. Oh my gosh. Also, can they do that? Like, I don't. Is this a metaphor then? Like, can they literally blast the entire island, or do they just mean like, we'll blast it in stages? We can have everything all at once, the whole enemy kingdom and their petrification machine too. So even though he didn't plan this out at all, like it's going to work in his favor. Like if Magma just allows himself to be, the scary invader, that's all he really needs. He can just be a big distraction. I guess it wouldn't be enough for them to. Oh my god! I just realized. Um, I don't know if they'd be able to save him. I guess so, like because the unstoning heals you. But they have like depetrification fluid. They have access to the chief now, like because Ibarra is moving everyone off the islands. They could unstone him. Then all they would need to do is, I guess if they want to, they could raise an army of people who have been stoned in the past. Like they can't bring anyone else up from the water, but if they've kept anyone just like on the island itself, they can unstone them pretty easily. The big question then is their petrification machine too. I guess that actually it depends on how the machine works. Like if stoning everyone, like could they stone everyone from the ship? If that's the case, I don't understand how they could do it. No, I'm dumb. They could do it using the drone. That makes way too much sense. Because then they wouldn't have any other schemes. It's just like they've got to throw the real one eventually, and at that point they send out the drone. But alternatively, if it's supposed to be a sacrificial thing of, Kirasame stays on the island, goes to the middle, and then throws it straight in the air, and then they could just, again, nab it out of the air while the only one they have to deal with is her physically. And they could stop that, like they could probably stop her by depetrifying the former chief and then having him tell Kirasame to stop. This is such a cool way to do this. I'm not even mad that we didn't get the big showdown. Plus, this was indeed, as the cover page said, Medusa and Perseus. It wasn't Medusa versus Perseus. It was Medusa and Perseus. We saw some Medusa. We saw the Perseus in just two very different contexts from how I thought it was going to go down. Man, Dr. Stone. And the art, man, the art in this chapter was so phenomenal. I'm really curious to see if the anime is going to be able to pull off the like this tone for the pouches. It seems almost like, even if it's not lewd, it seems like almost too out there. But I do think that would be such a wild design to actually put on screen. I don't think they would though. Like again, I don't know. Like not lewd nudity isn't that bad. Like it really comes down to whether Japanese censors would allow it or not. I know it's gotten more strict like over the course of the last 20 years, so maybe not. That said, God, this color page is so good. Like, I'm probably going to use the cover of Jump itself, but I might use this instead. It's so genuinely amazing. I love it. Anyways, that's Dr. Stone. Next is... Oh, wait, I forgot to rank it. I mean, what can I say? It was such a good Dr. Stone. It's gotta be at the top. Next is Dr. Stone Reboot, Byakuya, Chapter 1. This art style, again, looks very Boichi. Like, is this going to be done by Boichi? Or, like, it could also just be someone who's incredibly good at imitating his arts. Or it could even be a thing where, like, Boichi does, like, the rough parts and then, like, assistants fill in the rest. Like, it could be, like, drawn by Boichi, but just more heavily assistant-focused. Okay. And this is such good, like, timing, too. I'm always super into it whenever I watch a ongoing series, like We Never Learn or like My Hero Academia, where as the anime is coming out, the manga then tackles something that's in the anime at that precise moment. Like, it's so beautiful because it's a thing that only happens, like, in the moment. Like, people watching the anime won't appreciate it. People are like, people watching the anime in the future won't appreciate it. People reading the manga in the volumes won't appreciate it. But if you're following both at that precise moment, they line up and it elevates both. I love that sort of thing. So in the same way, like we got the whole thing with Senku teaching Byakuya last episode in the anime. We just saw that, and now like a kid watching that can then go to Shonen Jump, hear about the Byakuya spin-off. Maybe they're not even in, maybe they haven't been keeping up with Dr. Stone itself. They've only been watching the anime. They can still jump into this and see this, and it works perfectly. Like, oh my god, it's a robot. Ray01. I'm surprised he didn't go all the way and just make it Ray00. It's just a model. Ah. Sorry, my actual robot's so boring. That's actually such a good fake out. I love it. Because again, like, I don't know if this is going to be canon or not. It's completely possible. This could have been a series all about Byakuya making realistic life-sized robots. It would have been fine. Also, these tissues are very suspicious. I'm not saying that he's wanking at Ray 23. I'm just saying no one has a cat-based box of tissues and uses it for a wholesome purpose. It's not a thing that happens in this world. Ah, and again, bringing up the science souvenirs. Z=1, humanity support system. Okay, so original series by Inagaki and Boichi, story and art by Boichi. Okay, so this is pure Boichi. Science consultants. Boy, what is that? MS Cool Astro. Maybe MS is in Microsoft, or it might be some other MS. Cool though. So this is purely done just by Boichi. I mean, Boichi's honestly like not a bad writer. I haven't read a lot of his like long form series, but I've read Hotel, and that was pretty decent. I feel like I read his Terraform Mars spinoff too, which he wrote by himself, and that was good. So he can do like sci-fi-ish things. And I assume like based on the fact that it's Reboot Byakuya, I assume it's going to be like just following the like the islands and what they did down there. How about another round of introductions? Let's introduce everyone for the audience. I assume they might actually be doing a live stream. Like Lillian did do live streams, so maybe they are streaming to someone else. Ah, gosh, Connie's so moe. Welcome, newcomers. Happy to share our oxygen with you. Oh my gosh. I thought they were going to frame it as being a live stream or something, but no, I think that is legitimately just the characters talking to us, the audience, just reintroducing themselves in case you haven't been following the series. That's awesome. Or even like, even if you have been following it, like it's still a nice intro because like I remember Byakuya, Lillian, and Shamil, but even after watching the episode yesterday, I still did not remember Yakov's name. I don't remember Daria. I remembered Connie, obviously. But Yakov and Daria, I mean, they're going to be more important to this, I assume, so I should try to remember them. Also, the cover of Jump had this, like, blue energy on it, but the anime seems to be going for green. Like, it doesn't really matter overall, but I'm curious enough to see, because, like, those are two different colors with two very different sort of connotations. Like, green, I think, is both in, like, in English culture and also in Japanese culture, it's got this more, like, natural feeling to it. Like the green of nature, of leaves, of trees. Whereas blue is like it's still natural in a sense, but it's more like water based. And I think more people would see blue as being unnatural, like in the sense that you don't really eat anything that's blue that is also natural. Even blueberries, like they're blue, but they're a big outlier. So, like, I do feel like if they're going to go with green as being the predominant, like this is what the color looked like of the explosion, and especially if that's the color of the Medusa, if that is overall the color of the stoning energy, then I think that is both playing into the whole Medusa thing while also potentially playing into the idea of it being like not necessarily a natural phenomenon, but maybe something that was meant to protect the Earth, or maybe something that was overall more noble than we anticipated. Incidentally, I just realized this. In the anime adaptation, they did like they didn't change a few things, but they did like clarify a few things. Like in the manga, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe they ever mentioned that the explosion came from South America. That's just something that's like I remember specifically. I personally did not realize where it was, and I was thinking about like the U.S. or something. And then later on, I did the proper math and realized like, oh, the opposite side of the world from Japan is South America, so that makes sense. But like in the anime, they specifically called out South America and they said, yeah, like it's got to be there, therefore we should land in Japan. So I'm curious to see like maybe that information came from Byakuya, or maybe it came just from like Inagaki and Boichi as they fleshed out like, hey, here's some extra information you should know for future manga developments and for what will be shown in Byakuya. It's so cool seeing all of this like more fleshed out. Like these are all conversations that canonically most likely did happen. Again, like the series could do the big twist into this isn't canon, but I assume it is. It's just, these are conversations we didn't see in the original series. That's 1.3 billion for each of us, and anyone carrying the weight of 1.3 billion people can't afford to fail. Ah, that's such a good sentiment. Ah, thank you. By the time you awaken from this, I'll have created a new wave of humanity to help you out. It's his science souvenir. The Crunchyroll subs phrased it in a weird way I didn't really like, but I do like the ring of science souvenir. I don't remember what it was. Did they change it to science present or something? Or it might have just been the way they phrased the lines that I felt was really weird. Like, thanks for the science present, Dad. Okay, yes. This specific line was in the anime, and I'm certain it was not in the original manga. Of if you must go, at least land as far from the origin as possible. Opposite of South America would put you near Japan. Okay, that's different. Instead of Japan, let's aim for the plains of Kazakhstan near the spaceports. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because like that's where they wanted to go anyways, or like that's what the system's already set up for, and it makes a lot of sense. Like part of the reason why I was it Connie and the it was Connie and Shamil that died, right? Because they got influenza. Part of the reason they died was specifically because they couldn't get antibiotics because they were on the islands. Whereas if they landed somewhere full of scientific stuff, it'd be a lot easier for them to quickly like just grab all of it and then keep it around for longer. It's interesting enough though, like again, they're bringing up the infrastructure, but from what we saw, it didn't seem like they used the infrastructure of Japan. Like it seemed like they mostly lived on the island by itself, as opposed to like doing the traditional post-apocalyptic thing of living in houses and stuff. I'm curious to see if there's going to be a reason for that. Like, it's not that that's a plot hole or anything. It's just it's a consideration that most people would immediately jump to. A lot of just generic writers who have written stories like this immediately go like, okay, if everyone's dead or if everyone disappears, you want to immediately start looting houses and stuff. But this group never really did that. So I'm curious to see like if through Byakuya, Boichi's going to try and explain like why specifically they would want to have stayed just on an island. I mean, part of it might have also just been that they didn't want their future generations to become dependent on that infrastructure. Maybe. Oh, that also makes a lot of sense. Like again, Senku or like Byakuya wanted the future of humanity to be Senku's present. If they ended up in Kazakhstan, then they wouldn't like the remaining human beings would not have been anywhere near Senku. They wouldn't have been able to help him out. So in a situation like the one we got in Doctor Stone, like there would have never been a kingdom of science. Like that I didn't even consider that until right now. Yeah, isn't Senku the greatest tech resource we've got? But that also means that this entire like all six of these like astronauts had to have all believed in Senku at this point. When the kid was 7, he counted out every second for 2 whole months. Didn't even lose count. Didn't lose count even once. You get what I'm saying? I assume he's trying to say, "Let's Japan, maybe." Proof 7? Hmm. Okay. First of all, strong mascot character, and like it makes sense that we wouldn't have seen it in the original because like why? That does imply though that like the robot doesn't stay around for future generations. Like there's a lot that we skipped over, so maybe it's only going to function for a while. Ah, humanity's final 6 plus 1 robots begin their mission to reach Japan. All right, I'm into it. Again, I don't know how long this is gonna go. I'm fine with like if they've already said like this is going to be a limited series. Do let me know because I'm curious enough. Like if it's going to just be an ongoing like monthly series, then I imagine they could do a lot of stuff. But if it's going to be like 6 chapters or so, then I imagine it's mostly going to be like next chapter would be them landing, and then we'd have a chapter of. I guess they would want to explain all the stuff from this village, like from the island they're currently on, while also explaining like the Hundred Tales and everything, like more so than we got in the series. But then I don't know what else they would want to explain apart from why Ray isn't around, or I guess alternatively, like if Ray is going to be on Treasure Islands, then at the very least they would want to say like, hey, at one point Ray shut down and we couldn't make new batteries, so we had to put it here where Senku might find it someday, or where even maybe like the chief of this village will always revere this location and they'll leave it here as like, yeah, this is a place where we will eventually lead Senku to. Oh man, I am extremely hype. I am the most hype. I want this to happen. It's happening. I've already got my wish because it's happening. Oh my god. Overall, not as good as this actual chapter of Doctor Stone. Like, it is fundamentally like most of it was the same thing we've seen before, and I did enjoy it. Like, it does have that nostalgic feeling of, oh yeah, I remember this. I was there for this. This is good. But at the same time, like, it's not nearly as good as something like even Spirit Busters. I do think it was better than One Piece this week, but I don't think it was better than Spirit Busters or We Never Learn. I do feel like I'm short shafting One Piece though. Like it was a good chapter of One Piece. It's just I did enjoy this more. So, and that said, like it's not like I didn't like the Act Oz chapter, for instance. And now I'm back in that state where I'm just explaining to the audience that I'm that I like everything in Jump. This is a lot better than last week, by the way. Where last week I was very 50-50 on what I liked and disliked to the point where I just straight up dropped Mission Sakura Family. So I think this is good. Anyways, let's move on to My Hero Academia, chapter 248. I was about to say, we Hero Academia. We are indeed Hero Academia. Were both of them with Ryugu's? Oh yeah, they were, right? Yeah, because during the Hasakai arc, they did like they dropped the big boy. Okay, I guess they were. Also, what's going on with Uraraka's like outfit now? The headpiece looks new. Like she might have had it before, but I didn't remember it like during the Class A versus Class B fights. I assume it's meant to like to keep her from getting too sick, right? While everyone else is figuring out where and how far to run, I was only just learning to crawl. I do like that a lot now, by the way. Like at the time, a lot of people hated it for just like, oh, it took this long for this genius character to figure out that he doesn't have to destroy his finger. He could just use the energy throughout his body. But it makes sense. Like, and in the same way, like I I appreciate where he is right now, where he is learning how to use more of All for One for tiny little spurts. But overall, like it's not like his body can really adapt to that quickly. Like it's gonna take years, and it makes sense then why, like narratively, we have all the other quirks, so he can still develop in other ways without having to make his body become ultra buff or ultra quickly. Every time he dashes forward, he shoots fire out his feet. Okay, but that said, like honestly, Bakugo doesn't do that. Like he does use explosions to propel himself forward, and we've seen him like use like little ones to like lift up. Like I remember that specifically in Bakugo versus Deku Part Two, but it's still explosive. Which I mean, that is part and parcel of his ability. But if he can find a way to make it more regular, like fundamentally, his quirk is just making explosive fuel. It doesn't mean it has to bang. Like if he can get like shoes that will create a steady stream of energy, or even like rollerblades or something, like something where it's just an engine powered by his nitroglycerin, then that could be interesting. Like if he could automate himself more, and I think that would be a good way to show how his character is changing. Like that's something that he wouldn't think of. It's not something that, is even that necessary, like from the face of it, but it would make him more efficient. Oh, that's so cool too. That like the rest of the agency is also completely cool with just handling the mid stuff because they want, these three to actually like learn more from Endeavor instead of having to like clean up the mess. Okay, Bakugo, you said you want to know what you can't do. Oh, that's so good. Like actually calling him out. Like it doesn't matter if it's the winter. You gotta still be able to function at top priority. And if that means like warming up your nitroglycerin or coming up with a suit that can, or anything else, like you just gotta do it. The world is not going to listen to you say, "Oh, but I could have done it correctly if I had only done this." Like it doesn't matter. Just do it correctly. Is it connected to mastering Flashfire? Unleash max output for just a second, or focus your power. I mean, it's something that Deku's already done. Like, that's the whole thing between Deku's finger flicks. But, so what is Deku going to learn then? I assume it's going to be something that both Todoroki and Bakugo have been able to do all the time that he's never done. I'm gonna get a restraining order. Oh yeah, Deku wasn't there when he first showed off the AP shots. I guess it must have been like Kaminari or someone who taught him about it. Okay, yeah, you can max your output for a second. How about doing it subconsciously? And I mean, fair enough. Like Black Whip is cool in its own way, but he's still got a lot of work to do with All for One. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to say, hey, instead of focusing on the thing that's already really good and making it better so you can be a better hero, why don't you try this other weird gimmick that you can kind of sort of do? Ah, okay. Right. See that guy driving down there, the one yawning? You think he woke up one day knowing how to drive? There's a steering wheel, the accelerator, the brakes, checking behind, ahead, and so on. He practiced all of that one thing at a time until he didn't have to think about it anymore. That makes so much sense. Like, just keep on going for it. And in the same way, like, eventually, once he's not mastered All for One, but, once he's mastered all the, like, fundamentals of it, then, like, once all that's left is his physical power and, like, getting that stronger, then he can work on, his six quirks. Ah, that's so good. Because it's also like it's not even that he's being that vulnerable at all. He's just saying this is how human beings work. Like that's how I know how to do it, but at the same time, like that's how everyone should be doing it. And even if Deku managed to get this raw power out of nowhere, it doesn't mean that you know it doesn't make him any different. It doesn't mean that he should be able to then also get real good out of nowhere. Plus, actually, I just realized, like, so much of the series has been about how All Might's such a bad teacher. Like, he forgot to tell Deku a lot of things, he didn't consider a bunch of things. But now Endeavor gets to, surpass All Might at this. He gets to be legitimately a really good teacher. It's okay to mess up, succeed or fail. It ain't like you three could have even the slightest impact on my work. Ah, hmm. I don't remember her name. She's Steam Girl, right? Did her name have the word Steam in it? Something like that. I do want to see the full Todoroki family, except for the mysterious one, just all hanging together, having a good time. Or maybe not, maybe being tense, who knows? But it would be really cool. Or maybe the older brother won't show up, but at the very least she will. Like, we know so very little about her, and she is a fan favorite, so I'd be into it. And we just did a straight up 1 week time skip too, so I'm curious to see how it's gonna work out. Like, has Bakugo gotten better in this week? Has Deku? Has Todoroki? If I had to guess, it's like Bakugo is probably going to be nowhere, because like his whole thing is he doesn't know what he needs to improve. And I don't think like even if even if Endeavor straight up said, here's specifically what you need to do, I don't think it would work that well because he's the kind of person who will fundamentally always try to argue against you. I think he's got to figure it out for himself. I'm curious to see what it'll be. Like for all of them, I'm thinking automation, but that's just the way my brain works. I don't know what else you could do to warm up nitroglycerin without exploding it, though, is the thing. Like, short of having a heating system that keeps it warm. Plus, like, a lot of what he does isn't like flinging it right from his skin. Like, he has like the storage grenade thingies, so it shouldn't make that much like it shouldn't be that weird to also have a very weak heating system that'll just like keep it from freezing or keep it at at a constant temperature so that it explodes at the same rate all the time. So it's regular, so he doesn't have to worry about it being cold. Anyways, that is My Hero Academia. Solid My Hero chapter. It was very fundamental. It wasn't exactly like flashy or anything, but it was good in its own way. So I cannot say it was as good as One Piece, but it was good. Like everything this week was good. It just wasn't unbelievably the best, which is fine. Like you gotta have your plateaus before you can have your ultra highs. And speaking of ultra highs, it's time for author comments. Just as the anime starts the Byakuya arc, we have Boichi Sensei's side story too. I'm so happy about the perfect timing. It is pretty great. Like, I do love this kind of thing, as I said in the Byakuya reaction. But at the same time, like, I appreciate that, sometimes you can't pull it off. And if, like, there was a delay or something, it just would not have lined up quite like that. So I'm always happy when it can happen. I root for and love people who move forward even if they mess up and get hurt, over those who stay safe out of fear of failure. I want to eat an infinite amount of the Maruchan Pari Pari Infinite Cabbage Snack. Pari Pari Infinite Cabbage? Oh boy. I've never had infinite cabbage, but it sounds amazing. I heard a giant crash and an ah from outside my window. I hope everyone's okay. Huh. I wonder how Horikoshi managed to do an author comments. Because like the author comments are a part of the lineup. Like they're a part of the table of contents. So how could Horikoshi have had one in a week where he just did a chapter. What am I saying? I was thinking of The Promised Neverland, which did not have a chapter. How did I have that? How did I read that chapter and immediately think that he didn't do a chapter? Oh, was it a shorter chapter than usual? I did not even consider that. Like it didn't even occur to me. 16 chapters. That's not even that short. Like what was 244? 20. Like that's not that much. I would understand the apology if it was like some of the mini arc chapters, like in between the end of the Hasakai arc and the beginning of the school arc, like some of those had like what, like 10 11 pages. Those were things where it's like, yeah, you should probably apologize, but this was nothing. That was fine. I didn't even notice it. I just realized I can connect my smartphone to my TV to watch YouTube. This will help in my workouts. Like I personally have a Chromecast that I've had ever since like I think it's the second generation, but I don't use it for anything now because like my monitor only has one input, so it would suck to have to use it, and my TV outside has like an actual Android box on it, so I want to find a use for it though. I really like Chromecasts. It's just my current situation doesn't really allow for one. Pocahontas and Belle are great, really great Disney heroines, but the best is, of course, Esmeralda. Hot take. Like usually, I mean, my favorite's Belle, obviously, but Esmeralda, really? Thank you so much for the birthday present. It was delicious. We don't know what the present was. All we know is that, like all his author comments, it involved food. Lots of typhoon comments, by the way. I've just been kind of skimming over them, but I do hope everyone's okay. So much sadness when I'm eating a sandwich but can't bite through the lettuce, and then the whole piece of lettuce is just gone. What? What do you mean? I don't understand what this means. What in the world? I am profoundly baffled. All right, so those are the author comments. Overall, good chapter of Jump, or good issue of Jump, I should say. Short and to the point. It was snappy. I kind of wish I could have done it live, but at the same time, my throat is killing me, so kind of glad I didn't. Overall, uh, I do hope Byakuya gets more exciting. Like, this was most a recap, but I hope it gets better, because, like, Dr. Stone is really great. Overall, I think it was better than last week. Last week really, to me, felt very divisive in terms of how good it was, whereas this was straight up just a good time all around. I really liked it. So that's Jump. Not a whole lot else to say. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.